Bob McClure is sitting with us right now, president and CEO of the James Madison Institute. First of all, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, it's great. So when we started this, as Colin is talking about the cards, right, for the troops, it's great because you go in and the first week or second week you go in and, you know, you got a box, right? You got a couple of boxes. It's nice. By the third, fourth week, they're going, oh, good, you're here. And they roll... And they roll out. You've got keys in the boxes. They roll out the big bags, and they're just everything's over there in the corner. It's fantastic. Like, the community comes together, and it's just it really is special.
What a great cause!
Yeah, we love it. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about. Oh boy, I'm so glad you're here because there are a lot of things that I need you to help me with. First of all, tax reform. You know, I just had a conversation with Representative Ballart. He's pretty excited. Feels like it's going to happen. And, you know, we had this conversation off the air, and we can have it on the air. My concern has been what's going to be tangible. We hear the discussion, you know, lowering the brackets, or you're going to get this amount of money. And we've heard that before from past administrations on a lot of different things, right? And before we get into some details on this, your overall thoughts on the state of Florida, when we talk about our people that live here in the state and this tax reform legislation we're looking at, you feel good? Feel good about a lot of it? What's your thoughts right now?
Well, I don't feel good about the process. If you just watch it every day, it can, you know, it's the sausage making that makes everybody so angry and upset about the swamp. I think for your listeners and for those of us that live in Florida, Florida is a low tax state, but you're going to see, and I'm optimistic, and we can talk about the specifics of that. I think they're going to see their taxes and the tax rate lower, fairer, and simpler. Yeah. In what way, we can talk about. But a lot of your listeners are from high-tax states, other states in the Midwest and whatnot, and that's where the great debate's going to be, whether it's SALT or something like that. But I think there's a political, and you and I were discussing this off air, there's a political necessity for the governing party, which is the Republican Party, to get something done.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Right.
I'll flat out.
Right.
I don't like that because that makes for bad policy coming
out.
Does.
Yep.
It's all for the wrong reasons. Yep. And you know, the frustration, and I get it. You know, and like I told Representative Ballart, listen, I'm rooting for them. I want them to come up with something that they say is going to be tangible to the American people that we're all going to feel and feel good about, and it's going to work, and corporate tax rate coming down, and I see businesses and even with the markets, you know, you look at the markets right now and the markets are on edge. Yeah. And they're on edge because they already have this baked in.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the dirty secret.
That's
right? When
exactly
it comes to
right.
the markets, they've already had tax reform baked in. And now that people are hedging on the Senate and the House side, nobody knows what's coming.
Mm-mm. And I'll go a step further. Not only the markets very nervous, I will venture a guess that we will see fourth quarter GDP kind of lower because everybody's frozen. Right. Everybody wants, you know, before they make any moves, they need to know what ultimately is going to happen. Is it going to, go back to the entire year of 2017? What's going to happen? Or are they just going to go forward with the tax reform? So you're right. Everything's frozen. Money, capital is frozen because nobody knows what to do. They need security. They need predictability. And we don't have that right now. And is it going to be Obamacare redux, where the House and or the Senate implode and you have two senators that essentially hold up any kind of reform at all? And that's the great debate that I think people are very nervous about, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and you know, I talked to him as well about the Obamacare mandate and how, you know, the Senate side is different from the House side. One side wants to keep it, one side wants to get rid of it, and again, and we had this conversation before, and I talked to Senator Mike Lee about this, and somebody who I implicitly trust when it comes to doing the right thing in the federal government. It doesn't get any better than Mike Lee. I'm sorry, that it does not. And the discussion I was having with him is, how do we do tax reform before we do Obamacare reform? We can't. I don't. You can, but the idea that we're going to eliminate a mandate, and make no mistake about it, this is the debate that's happening right now, and you may not hear it from everybody, but getting rid of the Obamacare mandate in order to pay for the deductions that others want in their states, because there's 340 billion or whatever the number is that's out there that needs to be paid out towards the Obamacare mandate. To take from one to give to the other leaves Obamacare open to a disastrous effect moving into 2018. And who's going to get the blame for that?
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Now we're talking politics. We're not talking good policy, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's the reality of Washington, D.C., and that's why the American people were so frustrated. That's why you saw the rise of unconventional candidates like Bernie and Donald Trump, because people are sick and tired of politics as usual, which has always been the way it's been. Yeah. But to your point, if we're talking politics, the Republican Party, pure politics, raw politics, the Republican Party has to get some aspect of tax reform done. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's their prime motivation. I can tell you that right now. The people they have to do it. They have to do it for the optics. They have to do it to protect their majorities. Sure. The American people saw this kind of one-car funeral that they couldn't even run, which was the repeal and replace of Obamacare. Right. And so you're going to get lots of different agendas, not only on taxation, but on the politicization of this bill. And it's too early to know what's going to happen. All right.
Bob McClure is the president and CEO of James Madison Institute. It's a nonpartisan public policy research organization right here in the state of Florida. Oh, you know what? Let's just shift for a second, because I'm looking at the clock and I want to make sure we have time to talk about this. How do you feel about what's happening politically as we move into 2018 now in the state? Mm-hmm. The governor's race, I don't know who's going to be running. As I get myself back into the political sphere that is Tallahassee and what's happening in the state, you've got Gwen Graham on one side who, let's be honest, between the two of us, does anybody remember the history of the Graham family? Does everybody think that if you're a Democrat, do you really think you're riding a coattail of someone who people even remember?
Right.
So you have that on one side. And then the other side is the Republican side that do we know who confidently is going to be running? Do we feel good about their position? What are your thoughts on the governor's race?
Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, it's going to be a hugely pivotal race for a couple of reasons. One is the future of the Florida Supreme Court may be up in the air because there are 3 retiring justices who all turn age 70, which means they have to automatically retire. And the next governor it's yet to be determined, but the next governor could appoint 3 Florida Supreme Court justices.
Does this sound familiar there? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and currently the makeup of the Florida Supreme Court is basically 5-2, 4-3, relatively pretty liberal.
Yeah.
So if you have an Adam Putnam, or if the Speaker, Richard Corcoran, gets in, then you're going to flip that court to conservatism. If a Gwen Graham wins, then it's going to stay 5-2, 4-3 liberal majority. So that's one major issue. I think in the Democratic Party, you have Gwen Graham, who it's got to be kind of her nomination to lose. I mean, she does have the Graham name. He was well thought of as a kind of traditionally Democratic in the 80s governor. But I saw a statistic recently, something like 30% of the current voting age population in Florida wasn't even born when Bob Graham was maybe in 25 or so when he was governor. Right. So what does that mean for Gwen Graham? He'll do what he did when she ran for Congress, and he will travel with her, and he's a great retail politician. So, but it's her nomination to lose. I think in the Republican side, Adam Putnam has been a terrific conservative. Commissioner Putnam is Commissioner of Agriculture, is a great guy. It's, today, could change tomorrow, but today it's his nomination to lose. He's raised a lot of money. He's been in the public eye for a really long time. Mm-hmm. He says all the right things that it will take to win a primary, which is very, very different than a general election. And so if you end up with those two, that's not to say that someone else can't win the nomination. Certainly there are some folks in the Republican Party who are looking very hard at getting in that. You can't discount the possibility of a John Morgan jumping in the Democratic.
Yeah, and he's the wild card, by the way. And that's the thing. I hate to break this to everybody, and I don't want to be a downer, a Drew Downer. But listen, if John Morgan jumps in, it'll be tough because a lot of the history is going to come out, but it's going to be tough to beat him. Mm-hmm. Just name recognition alone, it's going to be hard to beat him. So would you agree, in the couple of seconds we have together, would you agree with me then that really part of the discussion needs to be about concentrating on the House and the Senate, making sure that we strengthen the positions of conservatism there so that if someone like a Morgan wins, or even Gwen Graham for that matter, because they're gonna move her to the middle and make it.
It's going to be a close race.
Yeah. That it would be a nice thing to know that the House and Senate are strong enough to rebuke a lot of what could be coming.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. The House has been traditionally strong the last 6, 8, 10 years. Has had some really great kind of movement conservative leadership. Very courageous. Will Weatherford, the Speaker currently, is outstanding. The Speaker designate coming after him is terrific. The Senate, as in I think every Senate at the state and national level, is much more wobbly, and we've got to fill that chamber with movement conservatives who understand free markets and limited government and why that matters.
Bob McClure, President, CEO, James Madison Institute, jamesmadison.org. Go to the website and read, look, check out what they have, their opinions and more. It's a great website. And I'm so glad to see you in person here. Usually it's over the phone, so it's great to see you here.
Thanks for having me, my friend.
All right. We'll see you soon.